Order. Everybody please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie is absent. Dale is here. You guys want to look over the agenda?
Two things got added to the agenda since I sent it out last night, and that was the opiate settlement. Jamie will be attending here shortly to talk about that, and then application for employment got added as well.
Yeah, it would be at the end.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. With the added things to it.
Yeah. Yeah. There. Motion to approve the agenda by Scott. Is there a second?
No second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I just want to look over the February 3rd meeting minutes. Should probably change something on this. So, I guess there's no page number here. Where it names Wakefield and Peterson to the selection committee for the county road project. It's for the interview for the engineer. I don't know, what do you call that selection process, Wayne? Do you recall?
Selection committee on the county road project.
Where we interview the engineer for the.
It is the selection process for construction engineer.
Rather than.
For the special-
For it or not.
How did you want me to word that?
Well, it's not for the road project, it's for the engineering services.
Okay. Selection committee on the engineering services.
For the chip seal project. It's, I don't know if I put the. We don't need the number of the project, just.
Got it.
Anybody see anything else with the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve it with those changes that Dale just said.
Motion by Scott to approve the minutes as amended and dispense with the reading.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll look over the bills for this month.
There is a bill to the state auditor's office for $10,400, I do believe it was.
Yeah, 10-4.
That is the progress on the audit. That is just for the financial statement, not the audit itself. The auditors will be here on March 7th and 8th to actually do the audit with me. But yeah, that is just the financial statement fee. And as you can see, that's going to take the general audit budget over significantly. So I didn't know if you wanted me to continue to take it out of there or if you wanted me to take it out of somewhere else.
I suppose we'll have to take it out of there and then amend it.
Amended, yeah.
How much more do you think it's gonna be, Sam? Do you have any ideas?
I don't know.
Probably another 10.
They were, and this is only for 18 and 19. This is not 20 and 21.
Oh, boy.
Yep. So, but a lot of it has to be set up, and then it'll be kind of easier going forward. I mean, but so they're kind of setting everything up this year with a
Yeah.
bunch of information that they're asking for. So that might not be so bad the next audits, but unfortunately that's what we were laid with
Yeah.
this time. But they said that it was going to be a lot cheaper if they come on site, because then it's just strictly 2 days, not back and forth emails,
Yeah.
communication that way.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I guess I pull out the North Dakota County Commission
Yeah,
Association
and then
dues
there
of
was that one.
$16.50.
Yes. And you guys never do that one, but I don't think that that's up to me to not even bring it to you.
You gotta
so-
present it in.
Yep,
Because
so
the
that's.
people in the room can change.
Correct. Yep. So. There
I
was.
think that's fairly redundant to have a
And then
county
the Weed
commission.
Control Association too. You guys are not involved in that one.
Yeah.
And that's.
So I see we got a bill here from Gilbertson's for $2,101 for road repairs. What was that for, out of curiosity? I think it's, let me see, vendor invoice number 0217.
The pile of, I can't remember if that was tires and stuff.
Oh, that transmission.
Transmission.
Okay.
And I think there's some bolts and stuff in there too, some bolts or cutting edges and stuff. And then there's a $1,000 one in there for pushing snow back.
Just have threw me off, looking at road and it says road repairs. I kept thinking it had a hole somewhere.
No.
Anybody see anything else that,
No, I'll make a motion to approve the bills except for that North Dakota Association of Counties and what's the other one?
The-
weed
board.
control?
Looking forward to pull those out.
Motion by Scott to approve the bills as presented with the exception of North Dakota County Commission Association dues and the North Dakota Weed Control Association dues.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. What have you got for us today, Wayne?
Well, in your packet, you will see resolution for the chip seals. Let's go back, the last page of that section, page 9 to 11, I think. And there it shows the bid proposals, the bidder's name. Morris Seal Coat and Trucking at a bid amount of $761,344.33. The engineer's estimate was $796,138.25. Asphalt Surface Technologies made a bid of $796,413.24. And bituminous paving, $799,578.20. I think we got a pretty good bid on Morris Seal Coat. And I received an email through Brian Fuchs' office from Sarah Suzie. It says, attached is the county resolution for your county project. And the bid opening on Friday, February 11th. Also attached is the memo. Explains the template attached if you need to use it for an extension on the resolution. This is only needed to be done if the resolution is not signed within 30 days of the bid opening date, which is February 11th. And when we sign it, to sign it and send it back in color, email it back in color to Sarah Suzie, ssuzie@nd.gov. I don't know if you got that, Samantha.
I did.
Okay. So then, I guess it's discussion on the bids, and if you would like to proceed to sign the resolution. Would you like me to read it out loud? Or resolution?
Sure.
I'll get on the record. Whereas the bid amount of $761,344.34 from Morris Seal Coat and Trucking Incorporated, received in the bid opening of February 11th, 2022 for project SC 2000 parenthetical 017 was a low bid received. Whereas this bid is considered reasonable, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Griggs County will award to Morris Seal Coat and Trucking Incorporated the contract for project SC 2000, parenthetical 017, hereby authorizes the chair of the board to sign said contract. It is further understood that the county shall reimburse the North Dakota Department of Transportation for any payments made under this contract, which are not collectible from the Federal Highway Administration. Attest the county auditor, chairman, board of county commissioners, and Griggs County. And then certification, this resolution was adopted and passed at a meeting of the board of county commissioners by the auditor. The reimbursement is 19.7% that we pay on our share project. Because they will pay it, and then we pay the state.
And now we can use some of this,
Now we can use,
whatever COVID
not the
money.
1505 money, but we can use the ARPA. That'd be the first money. So this is from Paul Bjornson, Association of Counties hosted a training last week on the federal ARPA funds that the counties received directly. Final rule allows the funds under the $2 million loss to be used as local match for most federal programs as listed on page 9 of the attached slides, which I have somewhere.
Now, these are monies we've already received,
That's
or
money that we received in 2 payments. 216 and 116. On page 9, if you would want this, I printed it out. ARPA funding final rule update. And in there it says, page 9, state ARPA funds, House Bill 1505 has not yet been determined, the final determination from the North Dakota DOT. But the direct ARPA fund allocations under the revenue loss or eligible use category may be used to meet non-federal cost share or matching requirement of other federal programs. So there, it allows you to use that. Or they not be used for Medicaid or CHIP programs. That's not CHIP seals, that's something else, CHIP.
I've kind of lost control of the acronyms for
Yeah.
which programs and is which money and where it. Some of it we committed to the budget already,
Yep.
and I don't recall which pot of money that was, but,
I think it was out of that, but maybe not.
you know. Though regardless, we have funds set aside to pay
Yeah.
our portion of the
local funds
project.
Available for it if you
Yeah.
don't use that, so. We probably would need somebody to make a motion.
Yeah, we need a
Yeah.
motion.
Accept the resolution. Or adopt the resolution.
Make a motion to accept the resolution to have the auditor and commissioner chairman to sign.
Motion by Mark to accept the resolution to accept the bid for our chip seal project from Morse Seal Coat and Trucking Incorporated. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
Did you have a copy?
I
You
did.
had the original? Or is it- And you want to sign that first, or you want to keep copies?
You can keep going, I'll sign it.
I have the original in my office.
So Paul Bjornson did do some checking on the prairie dog funding. because we're not only our engineers, but there are other counties they do engineering for. So we sent an email to the North Dakota Treasurer's Office to find exactly how much money was left, how much money had been added to the $30 buckets. So
Thank you.
now you said that this 75 million for
Budget stabilization.
budget stabilization was filled last biennium. So I think he thinks that the money will start flowing into the county's budgets in 2023 for bucket. So I received responses to my questions from the North Dakota Treasurer's Office last week, clarified that the 75 million budget stabilization bucket was filled during the last biennium, and it can't exceed that cap of 75 million, so it is looking much more promising the county buckets will fill in 2023. Griggs County's share of this, if it fills completely, would be 819,200. So it's looking a little better.
Those first buckets don't have holes in them, do they?
Probably does.
In essence, they do.
That's fine.
Because
What emergency?
they're well up to the legislature on what they do with that money. So if they have a budget shortfall in the state, the money doesn't flow over. So yes, they do have
A hole.
built-in holes.
Yeah. I think that's what happened, didn't it? Didn't that happen once?
It's gonna happen again.
Yeah, right.
This is just, yeah, we think it's gonna be okay, and whoops, it's not okay. That's their method of budgeting.
So let's see, the ad for the RFP for the construction engineers is in the paper, and it'll be there until March 3rd. Construction engineering, and advertised. I did have one firm call me.
KLJ.
Oh, that was the second one.
Oh.
It is open for anybody.
No. Well, that'll be a first that we got two people or two
Like I
firms
said,
to,
the state likes to have at least three, different firms, so we'll see. I think that's all for now. We'll have to set up some meeting times for after we see how many proposals we get from engineering.
Well, that's really increased a lot per mile, hasn't it, the chip seal?
Yeah, they have.
I mean, it's $35,000 a mile now, but I think the last time that we did a major amount of work, wasn't it 18 or 19,000 a mile?
I don't know, it's been pretty close to that, I think, before 30,000.
It's
Used to be
35,
10,000 a mile.
35 now.
Chip seals.
I thought the last time we did that Sutton Road, it was like 18 or 19,000.
I don't have it with me, but
Doesn't matter,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
the cost of oil has gone up, everything's gone up, cutting edges have gone up so much. I bought a bunch of cutting edges because, I think some will be built next time. Hard to get. So, by next winter, we may not be able to get them. we're still here.
Maybe we'll have to impose a lockdown so no one can travel, so we don't
Yeah.
hit the roads.
Yeah.
COVID.
And like I said, we had a little trouble. Jeff Food came on, kept coming on, called Fargo for Moorhead, and then they said that we got so much time before it'll derate, it's still running. We had to replace this whole unit that's down in the tent with an electric eye that watches the whatever.
Is that all under warranty yet? Yeah.
Yep. That was- So we get signatures on that, and then resolution. Natural, new Oxford color. Oh, it's supposed to be black, but it's good too.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So sometime after March 3rd, we'll schedule
Yeah,
our RFPs.
yeah, because our commissioners meeting is the 3rd, right? March 3rd?
March 10th.
March 10th,
10th?
Yeah, next one's the 10th.
10th, yeah.
My schedule says the 3rd.
That's the one you skip, don't you, or Dodd, well, you know what I'm saying? It's just.
March? Yep, March
it's-
3rd and
yeah,
Wilson.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, March 10th, though, I mean, it's that one that gets odd, or you have to go 3 weeks once in a while, right?
Mm,
Or not?
Yeah.
3rd on the calendar.
Yeah, it's that they're on
It's
the
the
calendar.
it's the first and third
Yeah, yeah.
Thursday.
but sometimes
Oh,
if it
so-
gets,
Yeah,
So sometimes.
sometimes it's on Sunday, but sometimes it's, you know,
Yeah, sometimes you skip a week.
yeah.
Well, you have anything else for us today, Wayne?
That's it.
All right.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
We'll review them that day, look at them, and then those that we can call for interviews after that.
Miss Kelly is on a Zoom meeting, so she will come when she gets off of that. So if you want to just continue on.
Um, 2022 election measures.
Do you want to do the employee manual or not?
What's that?
Do you want to do the employee manual?
Well, we're gonna do that when everybody was here, and
Oh.
we haven't have everybody here yet.
Okay, so we'll table that one.
Table that. I make a motion to table the employee manual until we have a full house.
Motion by John to table the employee manual till all commission members are here. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Election measures.
So I do need to know if you would like any election measures on the ballot for June by April 11th. April 11th. So you do have a little bit of time, but this was the wording for we will need a road mill levy measure put on the ballot. I did ask Jamie to get me some wording, and this is his wording. So,
How often does that have to be?
5 years.
Every 5 years?
So we were doing it so that it was a 10 mil, and then the next election we would do 10 mils, and then the next one would be 10 mils, the next one would be 10 mils so that we would equal up to that 30. Now I think that there's been legislation that has passed that we just need to do one, and we can do it all on one. So then it would be now and then in 4
years
in
again.
4 years, then we can do another one.
I think we have to have, first of all, that wording's not very good.
Okay.
Secondly, we need to have Jamie review the century code that he quoted here, and here's why. He quoted 57-1506.7, paragraph 5. A county levying a tax for county roads and bridges as provided in section 240401 may levy a tax rate not exceeding 10 mils. That's the original one.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When authorized by a majority of the qualified electors voting upon the question at a primary or general election in the county commissioners may, not shall, may levy and collect an additional tax for road and bridge purposes as provided in section 240401. Here's the part that is different, not exceeding a combined additional tax rate of 20 mils, not 30.
Okay.
So I think it still means 30. I think it's a 10 and a 20, but it's kind of worded funny.
Some of the other wording that they gave me
Not
was
exceeding the combined additional tax rate of 20 mils. And
an additional.
Yeah, but combined means 10 mils.
Right.
But here's how I think that should be worded, as far as a levy. Remove shall, because it's not mandatory. It should, may the governing body of Griggs County levy and collect up to an additional 20 mils for county roads and bridges above the 10 mil limitation set out in North Dakota Century Code Chapter 57-1506.7 for a total of 30 mils, question mark.
Okay.
The way it was written, shall means that you have to levy the 20 mils, and you don't. We're not, we just have, it's a upper limit. So send that to Jamie and see if that's, and then see if that will work. Or rewrite it, so
Perfect.
let's see if that'll work.
Yep.
And that's every 4 years that it comes up now, or? When's the last time this came up?
So we've always done it 10 mils now.
Okay,
And the next time we have an election, 10 mils.
10 mils.
So that then we're always up on it. Because we couldn't do it together, something or whatever. So then it was every election you voted on a road. Now we'll only vote it on now. It won't be on the next one, but it'll be on the next one.
After that.
Yep. And then it'll go from there. Yeah.
And why the legislature doesn't amend the code so that counties can fund their roads. Are there counties that don't need to excess levy to?
I think that in the larger counties, that probably they don't need that amounts to a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that they are trying to save the legislators are gonna say they're trying to alleviate excess burden on the taxpayer. And if there is gonna be an excess burden, they want it at a local level.
Sure.
Taking the punishment for it rather than at the state level.
But most all small counties have to have excess levy to.
Yeah, because of economy of scale,
Yeah.
Well, it just goes without saying that,
Yeah.
the same size county as Cass County is Griggs County, but you have more stuff to take care of,
Yeah.
less people to pay for it.
Yeah.
So was there anything else that you guys would like to put on the ballot? And you guys can think about that too. I just have to be till April 11th. No.
Hey, Kelly.
Hello.
Weren't we gonna talk about combining some offices?
Is that something that has to be on the ballot?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you, Mark, you were working for now?
Yep,
So we got next meeting,
yeah.
put that on the agenda.
See, I'll let Jamie see if, how we should word that and what we should do there about combining the treasurer and auditor. How we should word that. Are you sending an email to Jamie or something like that?
No,
No.
he just emailed me, he's tied up.
Okay.
I assume that's what it means, unless he was kidding us.
Has anybody else got any measures in mind?
We do have election training on March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And at that time, I will find out about any of the state measures that are going to be on the ballots. We just had a webinar this morning. They do have one measure that's going to be on and potentially another one, but we don't know what those are at this point. So I'll know about that at that time.
Kelly, it looks like it's time to sign our contract for clerk of court services.
Yep, I think you received a letter from them in the mail, did you? Okay.
It was actually to Scott.
Oh, Scott, yeah, I saw that.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, but.
So, it's the same thing that we've done.
But she got one too though, right, Sam?
I did, yeah.
You both did.
Yep. Oh, we did.
So it's just the same thing, that's how, what's that?
Where's your mask? Yeah, no, everybody got a mask.
Post, I'm not currently infectious, so 4 weeks ago I had COVID, so I'm still recovering, so this is just the same thing that we've been doing. The letter there is, I just copied one that we had prior and changed the dates on there, so. They usually send, I think they updated the FTEs, and then they'll send that. Once you send this, I think it has to be in by April 1st, and then they send the contracts sometime after that. I don't know the dates.
They've updated the FTE beyond this .13 or this .31.
Yep, it was 0.36. I think it just went down a little bit to 0.31.
So that 3.1 is what it's went down to?
The 0.31, yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
so
it was at
that'll mean a
0.36.
decrease in payment then from the state.
Yep, yep, there'll be a slight, I think it's a little over 2,000 a month right now. So there'll be a slight decrease in that. They haven't sent that amount, that'll come with the contract.
Anybody have any questions about the clerk of court services?
So we do option 8-1 then, is that what we do?
Yes.
Hey, Jimmy. I'll put you on here. Jamie's coming on here. Hey, Jamie.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Did you guys want me to talk about that settlement right now?
Do you want?
Yeah, if you want to go, I suppose, huh?
Let's just finish this up. We're just got to make a motion to sign the clerk of court contract. and-
Okay, hold 1 second, Jamie.
I'll make a motion to sign the clerk of court contract.
Motion by Mark, second by Scott, to enter into an agreement with the state of North Dakota for clerk of court services. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll see the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Did you want to sign that?
Yeah, thank you.
That was Jamie advancing the discussion, calling in.
Yeah.
Is that
I
fine?
don't know, did you have to do anything on the letter you received?
I don't believe so. It just says this has to be sent in.
So this is what we've sent, it's just a
Mhm.
thank you.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
We lose him?
You there, Jamie?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Good afternoon. I have some follow-up information on that opioid settlement information from last meeting. I went through the settlement. The settlement, it gives the county a pro rata basis of what we're going to end up with the settlement. We end up out of the settlement as a whole. I think the county is somewhere like 0.25% of what the state's going to get. So the settlement is set up in 18 yearly payments made by the manufacturers, 8 yearly payments made by the distributors. It's actually all going to get put into a fund similar to like the tobacco funds that were done in the 90s, early 2000s. So we probably will never see any of the money in the county coffers other than public health. So the public health was getting grants from the nicotine or tobacco lawsuits, and I still think they do continue to get money from that. That's the way this looks like it's going to be set up as well. And it looks like that's the design of the entire suit, the class action suit. And that looks like what every state and what every county are going to be forced to do is for remediation of opioid use and prevention. So my recommendation is to vote in favor of having me sign it and get moving forward. And I think this is probably the best thing that is going to happen to all the counties is get this money. I don't think that if we were to say we're going to pull out of it and commence a lawsuit ourselves, I don't think we'd come out any better.
No, probably not. Yeah, don't you find it ironic that the opioid crisis was aimed at some of the poorest and least able to comprehend the results of taking those opioids and damage their lives, but yet the settlement doesn't go anywhere near those people. It goes to a government entity that won't do anything to help the people for their suffering from the opioid crisis.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, it is ironic. I really hope, and my hope is that we can figure out some money to throw at mental health and chemical dependency issues in North Dakota with this. I doubt it'll ever happen, but that's what this has caused, and it would be really nice to help those that can because and get some assistance for the counties because we deal with mental health and chemical dependency and we're unable to do anything. So it'd be really nice if that's what it went for, but I would guess it's going to be tied up in bureaucracy for many years.
I want to rephrase, not ironic, tragic.
It is.
Because again, this thing did damage people's lives, but the money that's being paid does nothing to help restore the damage to those people's lives. It goes to a bureaucracy that uses it for their own purposes, not related to the damage that was done by the opioids.
Right.
Those people should be ashamed of themselves, but they aren't because they have no shame.
I don't disagree with you one bit. Yeah.
Well, make sure you write a memo then when you sign on to this to that effect.
Okay. I can do that.
Thank you.
Do you need a motion to sign?
I think I should have a motion and a vote on it, correct?
I so move.
Motion by Mark to authorize the state's attorney to sign on behalf of the county for the opioid settlement. Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thanks, Jamie. You
Yeah.
going back to court?
I actually have one more thing for you guys. I'll stay online, dealing with the new courthouse.
Okay, I'll leave you here.
All right, thanks.
Well, as luck would have it, we're to old courthouse, new courthouse.
I think you need to talk about do you want to go there? 'Cause-
Oh, I skipped the North Dakota Insurance Reserve Fund claim.
So we had a little incident that when Brian was moving snow out of the parking lot of the county shop, he was blowing snow and a gentleman drove underneath the snow and chipped a windshield. So we did push it to our insurance and they came back and said that they will not pay. I have not heard from that gentleman since, so just wanted to let you know that that's what happened.
All right, thanks, Sam. On to old courthouse, new courthouse.
I was asked by you guys last meeting to contact the Bank of North Dakota, the trust department, regarding if we can recollateralize the bond. I spoke with the Bank of North Dakota. They didn't really know which direction we could go. So I did actually call Stuart Arnson, and I believe Mr. John Arnson I guess he retired at the end of the year, but spoke with Griggs Stewart, or went back and forth with Griggs Stewart, and he's supposed to get in contact with me again the next week. He was out on vacation, but he was going to review the documents and get back to me next week.
Yeah, so we checked with it. It's just a straight UCC filing is all that's securing this thing, other than the initial paperwork when the bond was let. But of course, the bond is not in the hand of the bondholders anymore. Now it's in the hands of a private institution. So it looks like if the private institution would sign off on it, the Bank of North Dakota really wouldn't have any obligation to do anything other than what the lender was okay with, because that's all the trustee is in place for, is to protect the lender anyway.
Right.
If you bring the bond attorneys into this, they'll tell you the same thing after they charge us $15,000 for their opinion. That's their job, of course.
Right. I'm not even certain myself what is the entity that the bond has been sold to, and if that's the case, I can contact them as well.
I don't have that right in front of me, but that was, it wasn't even, it was kind of a bond, but it was just a private entity that bought the paper on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's kind of a small bank in
Yeah.
southern Minnesota,
Yeah.
southwest Minnesota.
All right. Well, I'll work with Samantha to find that out, and I'll get in contact with someone from them and there and see what we can get worked out.
I think that's the way to approach this, is with the lender first, because ultimately they have the final say on whether they're gonna release that collateral.
Right.
The trustee would just write the paperwork that would let that happen.
Right. All right. I'll check with the lender and see what they'll let us do.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you. Any other old courthouse, new courthouse business?
You been over there lately? No, still ghosts.
I do have one question. I'm going to throw it at you guys. All this funding we got, the different, the COVID and all that stuff, is there any chance you could put some of that toward demolition of the courthouse?
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is whether we can demolish it.
No, I know, I understand that. But I mean, if we want to, sometimes we look ahead in the future, how are we going to destroyed, you know.
How are we gonna
money-wise.
pay for the demolition?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
but I mean, there's no use allocating money.
No, I know that.
until
Yeah.
we can-
But I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, you know, in the future, look
If
at
it could be used, and
You
I
know.
think the COVID dollars of what
Or
we
something,
talked
you know.
about before, we can use that for just about anything we want.
You know,
I,
something if there's.
We'll see when it happens.
You know.
yeah,
See if we're all still breathing.
Yeah.
Well, someday, you know, just.
yeah, I mean, possibly, if we ever get to the point
Yeah.
where everybody is signed off from the federal
Mhm.
to the state, to the lending institution,
Yeah, I know.
to the trustees, then we can start worrying about, once we put it out on bid, start worrying about how to
Yeah.
pay for it. But other than that, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we're
Yeah.
just, there's no timetable for this thing.
Do you want to talk about the application for employment?
Did we have a job opening? Did the application didn't?
I keep skipping stuff today. I'm very,
Didn't specify, application didn't
Scattered.
specify.
I see where.
I don't think it did.
No.
No, then
Well, she'll do anything, and so I said, well, we have a tax director's position, and she said she's really good with numbers.
yeah. Well, I don't think we should hire a tax director unless the person that we hire is qualified. We've tried it 3 times now, and it has not worked. Training a tax director does not work. The last time it really worked well, and it ended up costing the county tens of thousands of dollars because of the appraisals, and we're still stuck with that. Now we have very, very much unequalized properties. If you go out here south of town, you have a house that's worth $120,000, and you go 2 miles to the west, a house just about identical to it's worth 15. And that's not the kind of tax equalization we want, where we penalize certain groups of our population. And so, I don't, unless we have an opening, I mean, she can certainly apply, but that wasn't on the application.
No, she'll do anything.
No, I know, but the application was just general. It just said work wanted. It didn't give references or anything.
Is it open?
Yeah. And then, of course, once there is references given, then we need to, she signed a certification of release of information, so then we'll have to run a background check on her if there is a specific job applied for. And I assume we do that with all the employees, future hirees.
Yeah.
So would you like me to just keep this on file?
Yep. Because, I mean, it isn't even complete. There's not,
Her background is mostly manager of like travel sector, the election stuff.
so we need to. So the future business was Marquette.
That,
Oh.
Measure.
yeah, for Jamie too.
Combination of officers.
Yeah.
And then employment, well, does anybody plan to be gone next meeting?
Is the
Well, it
10th.
must be my turn.
No, no, the 10th.
The 10th.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think so. Should be here. I hope.
We're getting close.
No, it should be the
See
3rd.
Devin at some
No.
point in time in March. I
Oh.
think it's in middle of March.
On the bottom, that's wrong. It should be the 3rd. It's the 3rd and the 17th.
Okay, whatever.
not the 10th and the 24th.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first Thursday. That's what I thought it was the third.
And I looked at your guys'
We got bad
Schedule,
information
too.
on our packet.
huh?
We got bad information on our packet.
Sorry. Bad.
No, I just looked at your.
I just look at my phone, and when you send me a packet, I know the meeting's the next day.
I like it.
So when I don't get the packet,
I'm not showing up.
I know. March 3rd and 17th is what you guys have for
I don't
your.
put any pressure on you, but.
yeah.
That's it.
My calendar reminder.
Hopefully you're not the one that doesn't get to like these two.
No, Mark, right, was once?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Motion by Mark to adjourn, seconded by Scott. Any discussion?
Just raise my hand.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, will proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 3:27 PM. Next meeting is March 3rd and March 17th in this room.